Hello, Elevation Health friends and family. Today we talk about the three major heart disease myths. So this month we have our Heart Smart workshop coming up. It's coming up next week, and heart disease being the leading disease killer, this is really important. So we're going to talk about the three myths. Number one, that cholesterol is bad. Number two, statins prevent heart disease. And number three, saturated fat. So we're going to talk about all three of those, and we're going to talk about the most critical factors when it comes to avoiding the common mistakes regarding these. The reason why it's important is because every 37 seconds a life is lost. It's a cardiovascular disease. So for most of you, this is something that really needs to be on your radar. Most people who are looking to get control over their cholesterol and their blood pressure, they really are trying to get well, but all too often I've seen the treatments become far worse than the disease itself. Many of you watching this know exactly what I'm talking about because you've been through it and seen it firsthand. So mythbuster number one is that cholesterol is bad, when in fact, the brain holds 2% of the body's mass, but contains 25% of the body's total cholesterol. Now, why would the brain have 25% of the body's cholesterol? Could it be that cholesterol is an important part of making your brain function? Well, yes. Cholesterol actually forms the membranes of the cells, and it keeps the cell membranes functional, not just in the brain, but in every cell in your body. But in particular in the brain, cholesterol serves as a powerful antioxidant, and it protects the brain against damaging effects of free radicals, which really helps with anti-aging and has an anti-cancer effect. Yes, cholesterol actually protects against cancer, if you didn't know that. So the neurons in your brain, which are required for everyday thinking, living, thinking, neurons, very, very important. Most of you watching this want all of your neurons firing on all cylinders, right? These neurons rely on the delivery of cholesterol from the bloodstream by way of something called LDL, which has been called the bad cholesterol. But in fact, LDL is not even really cholesterol. LDL stands for low density lipoprotein. So it's not cholesterol, it's actually a protein which shuttles the cholesterol to the neurons in your brain where it performs critically important functions. So what do you think happens to all the benefits that we talked about with proper brain function, anti-aging, anti-cancer? What happens to all these benefits when you lower your cholesterol? Well, we'll answer all of that at the workshop. Just keep that in mind. We'll circle back to that. So that's the first myth. Second myth is that statins actually prevent heart disease, and that's not true. If you or anyone that you know, love, or care about are taking cholesterol drugs, please listen carefully, because there are dozens and dozens of studies showing that lowering cholesterol doesn't prevent heart disease. So a recent study in 2018 showed substantial evidence that total cholesterol and LDL cholesterol levels are not an indication of heart disease risk, and that statin treatment is of doubtful benefit, quote unquote, as a primary form of primary prevention for this reason. So in the Journal of the American Medical Association years ago, they published a study with 1,000 participants at Yale. It was a 4-year study, and they showed that people with low total cholesterol have just as many heart attacks as those with high total cholesterol. And at the workshop, I'm going to show you exactly how that happens. So you can be taking a cholesterol drug and very easily still have the same risk of a heart attack or a stroke. Yes, that is true. And again, medically published and documented from these studies that we're going to discuss. The third myth is that saturated fat is associated with an increased risk of heart disease. How many times have we heard this? When in fact, there are multiple studies that show that it does not translate to heart disease consuming saturated fat. Here's one study from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. 340,000 people went through this study. They followed them from 5 years to 23 years over that period of time. And at the end of the study, this is what was published. I quote, "Intake of saturated fat was not associated with an increased risk of coronary heart disease, stroke, or cardiovascular disease," unquote. The actual risk for heart attack and heart disease was 19% lower in the group that consumed the highest amount of saturated fat. So wrap your mind around that for just a second, and then ask yourself, what is the solution? The solution is to ask yourself intelligent questions. Ask your doctor intelligent questions. The next time they test your cholesterol, they tell you they don't like where your cholesterol levels are, or certain aspects of your blood report. It's your job to understand this and to have an intelligent discussion with your doctor. They're not responsible for your health. You are. And you can ask them intelligent questions and engage them only if you're learning and if you're educating yourself, which again is why we do these workshops every single month. And this is where you're going to get this, because you never know when that day is going to come. And they want to put you on a medication which could be dangerous and have side effects and actually could be worse than the so-called disease itself. And there you find yourself in a heap load of trouble that you didn't want to get into in the first place, because you didn't take action to learn and grow in these concepts and understand more about how your body works and what it needs. So here's a good question to ask your doctor. Sir or madam, if my cholesterol serves an important life-giving purpose in my body, then what are the consequences of lowering these levels? Here's another good question to ask your doctor. If numerous studies continue to show that statins and cholesterol drugs don't prevent heart disease, then are the potential long-term side effects of the drugs actually worth the risk? Here's another question, another good question. If saturated fat is not associated with an increased risk of heart disease, then what favorite foods can I go back to enjoying with peace of mind? And the answers to all of this, I will be sharing with you at the upcoming workshop. It's coming up this Monday, the 14th of March. So make sure that you're registered, because at this workshop, you're going to learn how to reduce your risk of heart attack and heart disease by 90%. Yes, I'll show you how to get better control of your blood pressure and your cholesterol, how to reverse type 2 diabetes, and also you'll learn about the most powerful heart healthy foods and supplements. So you're going to learn all this and so much more at this upcoming Heart Smart Nutrition Workshop. It's coming up this Monday, March 14th at 5:45. So we've got very few seats left. So if you haven't registered yet, please do so now. The seating is very limited at this point, I can tell you. If you have friends, family members, loved ones, or yourself, you have not put your name down, please make sure if you're watching this in the office, stand up, go to the front desk, put your name down, reserve your seats. If you're online, click the registration link below. It'll take you to Eventbrite and get you registered for your free tickets. So it's coming up fast, and I'm really looking forward to it, seeing all of you there. I love and appreciate you. God bless.